Hello everyone. Today's lesson is lesson 57 on probability. Now, there are many situations where a future outcome might be uncertain. For example, the weather forecast might say that it might rain or rain is likely tomorrow. But this would only be an educated guess. We don't know for sure if it's going to rain, or it might rain in one spot and not in another. Okay? If we take an airplane flight, we might arrive early. We might arrive late, or we might arrive on time. We cannot know for sure in advance. This is called probability. And probability is a measure of how likely it is that an event will occur. Probabilities are numbers between 0 and 1. Okay? An event that is certain, which we know it will always happen, for example, the sun will always rise, we say that's certain or has a probability of 1. Okay? Event that is impossible has a probability of 0. Okay? So, and that's impossible. For example, it is impossible that I will turn 2 years old tomorrow. Okay? I'm a lot older than 2, so that's impossible. If event may or may not occur, then we say it's a fraction between 0 and 1. The more likely it is to occur, we go from 1/2 up towards 1. Okay, so it could be like 3/4, it could be 5/8, okay. The less likely it is to occur, we use fractions from 1/2 down to 0. For example, like 1/3. Okay. Now, the word chance is used to describe the likelihood of an event in a percent form. So we just say there's like a 40% chance of rain. Okay, that means there might be rain. What if we said it's a 10% chance of rain? That means we probably won't get rain that day. Okay, if we say we have a 50-50 chance, that means that an event is equally likely to happen. It's 50%. Okay, so it may or may not happen. Okay. All right, so here I have a standard dot cube, and this is a dice. I don't know why they call it a dot cube. It's just a dice. Okay, so a standard dice is rolled once. Which word best describes each event in parts A through D? Is it certain, likely, unlikely, or impossible? Okay, so what is the probability that the cube will stop with 3 dots on it? Okay, this is going to be unlikely because there are a lot of other options. It could land on 1, it could land on 2, it could land on 4, 5, or 6. So it could land on 3, but it's unlikely. Okay. For the next one, B, it says the cube will stop with more than 2 dots on top. Well, how many sides have more than 2 dots? Well, there's 4 of them. 3, 4, 5, and 6 all have more than 2 dots. So this is actually pretty likely because I have a lot of options. On C, it says the cube will stop with fewer than 6, 7 dots on top. Okay, this is certain. A dice only has up to 6 dots, and that's not how you spell certain. A-I-N. There we go. Okay, so it has to land on a side with fewer than 7 dots. And then D, it says the cube will stop with more than 6 dots on top. Okay, this is impossible because none of our sides have more than 6 dots. Okay, now most experiments involve probability. Some experiments that involve probability are tossing a coin or spinning a spinner and pulling objects out of a bag. Okay, the possible results of such experiments are called outcomes. Okay, so this says the circle below is divided into 5 equal-sized sectors. Sectors are just these pieces. Okay, each sector is labeled by one of the letters, A, B, or C. Suppose the spinner is spun and stops on one of the sectors. Find the probability of each possible outcome, A, B, and C. So the probability a spinner will stop on a given sector is equal to that sector's fraction of a circle. So for example, it's divided into 5 pieces. So I know this is A. The denominator is going to be 5 because there's 5 pieces. So how many sectors are labeled A? Well, only one is. So that means for it to land on A, it has a 1/5 chance. Okay, well, what about B? Again, the denominator will be 5. And I only have one B. So the probability it will land on B is 1/5. What about the probability for C? Okay, so it's in fifths. Well, there's 1, 2, 3 sectors labeled C. So that means there's a 3/5 chance of landing on C. Okay, if you notice, 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 3/5 equals 5/5, or equals 1. All of the probabilities added together has to equal 1 because it has to land on one of these numbers, or these letters. So it is certain that the spinner will land on A, B, or C. All right, let's do another one. So here it says a bag contains 5 red marbles, 3 blue marbles, and 2 yellow marbles. Suppose we pick one marble from the bag without looking. What's the probability the marble is blue? Okay, so the first thing I need to do is figure out how many marbles there are total. So we have 5 plus 3 plus 2 is 10. So I know I have a total of 10 marbles. Okay, so the probability that it's going to be blue is going to be something over 10. Well, how many blue marbles do I have? I have 3 blue marbles. So that means the probability that the marble is blue would be 3/10. All right. On B, it says, what's the probability that it is not blue? So the other colors we have are red and yellow. So I'm going to add those together. 5 plus 2 is 7. So the probability that you will pull a marble that is not blue is 7/10. Okay. So if we look and we double check to make sure, 3/10 plus 7/10 equals 1. Okay, because it equals 1 whole. Okay, so that means my answer is most likely correct. Okay, next problem. It says, Ben spun a spinner 60 times and recorded the outcome shown in the table below. Refer to the table to answer the questions that follow. Okay, so here are my spinner results. So it landed on number 1 29 times, number 2 20 times, and number 3 10 times. So it says, which of these spinners most likely represents the one that he used? Well, if you look, you can see that about half of the spins landed on 1. Because if I rounded this up to 30 and this down to 10, 20 plus 10 is 30. So about half of the time it landed on sector 1. So I need to find a spinner that has 1 as half of the circle. So it's not that one, it's not that one. So it could be either C or D. We then see that 3 is about half of spinner 3 is about half of 2. 11 is about half of 20. So I'm looking for a spinner that shows that sector 3 is smaller than sector 2, which is going to be this one. Okay, because you can see it only landed on sector 3 11 times. So that means that has to be the smallest piece. Okay, so number B says, if Ben spins the spinner 10 more times, about how many times is the spinner likely to stop on sector 1? Well, he's spinning it 10 times, and we see that it's landed on sector 1 about half of the time. So we can expect it to land on sector 1 half of 10, which is 5 times. Now, this is a probability, so it's not exact, but we can assume that's about how much it would. Okay, and that's it for this lesson. Good luck on your homework.